Hey folks, quick market update video for you here. Let's take a look at the indexes, kind of see where we're at right now, what we could expect in the coming days, kind of talk about today's price action, review the the liquid leaders, because obviously they tell us a lot about where we could see the market going in the coming days, and then finally wrap it up with the focus list here, with the names that we're focusing on in the coming days, those that have been our RS leaders, relative strength leaders, and how we can kind of condense this list even further during the first market pullback. So with that said, let's take a look at QQQ. You can see that we got rejected at this downtrend line today, where we've really gotten rejected. This is the fifth time. Clearly a level that's holding a lot of significance. If you could see, when we ran up to that level, it was about 1.6% reversal. Powerful reaction at this level, which means if we do eventually break it, which we've now knocked the door once, two, three, four, five times. So if we test this again, probabilities align with us breaking out. We have a long-legged doji here. On a pickup in volume, we have some pretty easy levels to play off of now. So we have the high of this doji, which aligns with the downtrend line at about 374. And then we have the low of this doji, which aligns with the 50-day moving average at right about 367.5. So these are going to be the key levels to watch in the coming days. Now, ideally, we move sideways for another day or two, and we stay within this candlestick's range. That would give us inside days. Whenever you have an inside day, it means that there was a contraction volatility. When you have consecutive inside days, that means it's showing basically, there's like a spring that is getting squished together. And when we eventually do break out of this range, it's usually going to be led with a lot of momentum. A lot of momentum is going to follow. When you couple that with the fact that this is a very significant level, I would imagine that we would really rip right through this level, probably even through 378. So there's a lot to look forward to. But that doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to break to the upside. We got to be careful here. We're letting the moving averages kind of catch up. We were short-term extended. We knew that we were 1, 2, 3, 4. We were at 1.5 days up in the middle of the day today. So we weren't buyers here. We knew that we'd be chasing in that case. So the next real good risk-reward entry point would be off of the EMA crossback. So the first test of the moving average area, and then a break higher. So that's what we're looking for. That will probably pan out in the next 2 to 3 days if we do go higher. Bank earnings are next week, so that's really we're going to probably see fireworks starting Monday, based off how we react to those. So hopefully it's positive, and we break through this downtrend line. If we break through this downtrend line, the next major level is really this 380, and I'll tell you why. If you go to the weekly, if we were to break above that level, that would be a double bottom neckline breakout. That would basically, we'd be breaking out of a shaper pattern. And for those that watch the video in the Discord, you know how significant that is, that we're basically we're breaking out of this launch pad onto the next leg up. So that's a major level to watch. Seasonality does align with the bullish odds, so hopefully that does pan out. But then a measured move would be 30, it would be right up to 411. So that's the one level that we want to all keep our eye on in the coming weeks. But first we need to get through this downtrend line. So let's take a look at the mega cap names. Are big tech. We know how these are very heavily weighted in QQQ, so where they go, the index is likely to follow. Not too concerned about S&P 500 IWM right now. They're both laggards. I'm not trading any stocks in there, only QQQ. So, and that's because it's the strongest sector. So if we're going long, we want to be in the strongest sector, right? So Microsoft, we have a long-legged doji. It did manage to get over this downtrend line. However, was it really downtrend line? There was only 2 touches, so it was never even confirmed. Tesla, we are getting rejected at this. It looks like we're confirming that this is a downtrend line. Nice bearish candlestick. Google, bearish engulfing. Meta, or was that a bearish engulfing? That was not. Just a bearish candlestick. Meta, bearish candlestick. Short-term extended. Google also short-term extended. Apple, long-legged doji into resistance. Looks like we're confirming this downtrend line. Amazon, long-legged doji into 50-day moving average and gap resistance. And then we have NVDA. We have a nice long-legged doji into resistance. Let's top it off with Netflix, which is just breaking down for another leg lower and losing that 200-day moving average. However, earnings is next week, along with Tesla. They will be our liquid names that are reporting next week, but which have the potential to shake up QQQ, the index. So wouldn't do not too much to do with this name here, Netflix, because this could rally on earnings next week. So, and I never will swing a stock that has earnings within 5 days. It's just my rule. Now, with that said, you can see that there's clearly some indecision or short-term extension that's going on with some of these liquid names. So it's really a market that's prime for a pullback or some kind of consolidation that's going to take place over the course of the next 2 to 3 days. It would be kind of uncommon to see us push higher. And if we're going to push higher, it's going to be a very slow grind, which I think we're going to need very strong momentum to get through this level. So I wouldn't say prediction, but the likelihood that we consolidate another day or two and then try and pick a direction seems a lot higher than if we were to grind higher or just break lower. So I'm expecting for us to stay in this range another day or two and then make our decision. Now let's take a look at some of the RS leaders. We have Gap. So Gap had a nice 4-day rally on increasing volume, and then it had its first red day today on low volume, which was actually very impressive because if you look at its industry, retailers got hammered today. So heavy volume selling off the 20 moving average below all 4 moving averages. Gap is above all 4 moving averages and had a nice rally and held up quite well today. So this is a very impressive strength. And I would like to see if it can kind of consolidate another day or two and then break higher, which we'll look to get involved with. Palantir, kind of the same story here. So aside from the fact that it's not in retailers, but had a nice move up. This is what? About 18% move. We have now been consolidating for 3 days. I would like to see maybe another day, and then we could look to go higher. We're really just letting these moving averages catch up. We're short-term extended. And I would like to see this 50-day moving average start to curl to the upside. But earnings are on the 2nd of November, so I think we can have maybe one more leg up before then. So let's keep our eye on Palantir. Definitely very strong. So fast gapped up and off of earnings this morning. And why I love earnings seasons, because it helps us very easily identify the strongest names from the weakest. So earnings is technically a catalyst. And when you have a catalyst that triggers a huge volume gap up, and it remains as bullish a candlestick as this, the likelihood it sees continue upside is fairly high. Now, I'm not really interested in doing anything in the next couple of days. What I'm most interested in is the consolidation that follows. Is it going to just very sharply pull back, or is it going to start to move sideways, consolidate through time, or is it going to pull back, in a more shallow manner? And each scenario tells you something different. So if it sharply pulls back, it just is not as bullish of a chart as if it were to be moving, if it were to have a shallow pullback. Now, if it were to move sideways, that'd be the best. That's basically showing you that the bulls are in firm control. They're not willing to give anything back. If it were to have a shallow pullback, the bulls are still in control, but it's not quite as strong. And then obviously, if you had that sharp pullback, well, there's clearly some selling there, and the chart's just overall not as appetizing from a technical standpoint. So that's 3 ways to gauge the pullback. Whenever we go into earnings season, we want to kind of follow all the names that gap up, watch how they react after that gap up, and then once the moving averages catch up, we look to play the strongest consolidation, really, the names that had the nicest consolidation, with these two scenarios being the prime. Now, with that said, fast probably won't be actionable for 2 to 3 weeks. It is fairly extended, but we'll have to keep our eye on it. TTD, another nice one here. So we had 3 days up. Now we're kind of consolidating sideways. So that's good. That's what we want to see. We're kind of just letting those moving averages catch up. And maybe when it will pull back, it will pull back to this 10 exponential moving average, which coincides with this downtrend line. If you could even consider it that, because it's only had 2 touches, but could act as a nice bounce spot, and we'll look to get involved. We're really just looking for everything to flag. AMD, more of a lethargic move up, kind of like a grindy, so not my first pick. I like to see power. I like to see momentum, and then you play that pullback. So I'll watch it, but unless something changes with regards to character and more strength, I'm not really too interested. ZS, not bad, 17% move. Now we're just seeing it consolidate. It's in a leading group, cybersecurity, so definitely want to align ourselves with that. But Crowd is clearly the standout. This is the one I want to most get involved with. We're just looking to see how it consolidates in the coming days. So PanW, same story, cybersecurity, and then SNPS, probably the strongest of the names we've looked at here. Very strong move up, and we're once again just waiting to see how it consolidates in the coming days. So that's kind of the story for most of these names, which means they're not really going to be actionable for another 2 to 3 days, which means I won't be very active with regards to trading the next 2 to 3 days. So to conclude, the indexes are primed for a pullback. We're really waiting to see how this range resolves. S&P 500 held where it needed to hold today. It bounced off of the 10 exponential moving average. The QQQ bounced off of the 50-day moving average. IWM is very weak, so we're not involved with any of the small cap names. And we would ideally like to see this reverse in the next couple of weeks. So when QQQ, IWM, and S&P 500 are moving in unison, that's where you're going to have moves like this. So we want to see some strengths come into IWM. Consumer staples, which make up a lot of IWM, are getting extremely oversold here. I think we're starting to put in some sort of bottom. So if we can get some kind of double bottom action here and break out higher, that'd be nice. It would take some of the pressure off IWM, and maybe we can start to see some upward momentum generate there. The VIX is below the 200-day moving average again, which is good. That's where we want it to be. The dollar kind of had a nice move up, broke the downtrend line today. However, I feel like it might be putting in a double top. We'll have to see. We have a neckline to play here. I'm not too convinced that this isn't go much higher. It's a very exhausted move. It's a very crowded trade too. Everyone's in the dollar going long. That's usually when it's a hint that it might be reversing fairly soon. So we're just waiting for a pullback in these RS names. Some shorts for you. I'm not going to go through them, but these are all names that could have follow through tomorrow, especially if the market pulls back. There's very heavy volume down days. Looks like there could be a little more to catch in these if that interests you. So without further ado, I'll see you guys in the Discord tomorrow.